Hello, my name is Marie Diamond. I'm an international best-selling author, I'm a motivational speaker, and I'm also known as a feng shui master in the hit movie and bestseller, The Secret. I want to share with you how I got into The Secret, how I used the law of attraction to get in this most amazing book and movie called The Secret that has reached millions of people worldwide and transformed their lives. I'm actually born in Belgium in a beautiful city called Bruges. Now, my life really changed when I was 15 years old and when I had a near-death experience. So I came driving from school with my bike. I was run over by a truck and I was actually declared dead. Thank God my mother came to the place where the accident was. It was just around the corner, and she made sure they kept reviving me. Now, at that point, I was actually already to the other side. I went to what we call the dimension of light. And there were beautiful beings of light, and they told me, Marie, you have to get back. You are here to enlighten more than 500 million people. At that point, I didn't know what that meant. And when I came back into my body a few days later, I was really aware of that message, but I did not know exactly what that meant. I thought it was like making a difference. I never had heard of the word enlightenment. So from that day on, every morning I would pray and I would say, God, the universe, I am here to enlighten more than 500 million people. Show me how. That was my request every morning. And I visualized every morning that I was reaching and connecting with millions of people, even if I was a high school student in a Catholic school in Bruges. So from that moment on, my life had shifted. I have found my purpose, my soul purpose, but I did not know the how. So I started thinking, how can I really do that? Well, I thought by being friendly, by being kind to people every day. So I would set the intention that at least one person a day, I would bring some light into their life by a smile, by making a good deed, by perhaps, helping them in any way I could. By the end of the day, I would look back at my day and look at, did I make a difference? Was there a smile on somebody's face? Did I hug somebody? Did I really create a difference to at least one person? Because I thought if I change one person a day for the next years to come, till I pass on to another lifetime, then at least I have reached thousands and thousands of people. What would not be that bad? So at least I would have reached tens of thousands of people by the end of my lifetime. So that would have been really good already. So as I was focusing on these things, opportunities started appearing in my life. I became part of a youth movement to really impact children and to help them every Saturday to become great leaders. I also set up a prayer/meditation group in my Catholic school where even the nuns came to join me every Friday afternoon. So I was looking for ways to really improve and impact people because I had a big number, 500 million people worldwide. So when I was 17, I wrote my first poetry book. And I started talking about my poetry, and I was on poetry festivals. And so I remember I was speaking for the first time for thousands of people at 18, sharing my poetry. So I knew I was making a difference. But then, what do I do as a professional career to make an impact? So I thought I would become a lawyer. Because in my country, when you become a lawyer, you have more possibility to become a diplomat, to work for the United Nations, to perhaps become a politician. So I studied law, and I also studied criminology and many other management courses because I wanted to study as much as possible to create the most impact. I started working as a lawyer for the Belgian government, and later I worked also with the European government. But at 30, I thought this is not the way to go. This is not really an area of society I want to really be, because even if I made a difference, it was not the kind of difference I wanted to make. So I took a year sabbatical And after a year, I was very clear, after doing a lot of meditation and a lot of inner work, that I was going to start my spiritual journey. I was already meditating since I was 7 years old. I knew since I was 15 about feng shui. I had really received a lot of spiritual lessons and spiritual transformation through my masters of light. And I said, okay, I'm ready. And so I set up my first spiritual center. And I remember the first time I set up an evening and I had 40 chairs out there. Nobody showed up. I'm jokingly always saying, not even my husband and my mother showed up. There were 40 empty chairs, and I could have quit that night and said, let me go back to being a lawyer. But I said, no, let me teach for the next 2 hours for millions of people that one day will be on these chairs. So I actually imagined that millions of people were sitting there in front of me, and I was teaching to them for 2 hours. 2 weeks later, I did the same presentation. 2 people showed up, my mom and her best friend, but I was still speaking to millions of people. Now, even before I start shooting this video, I visualize I'm reaching millions of people through whatever I speak and say to people, on camera, in person, online. So before the year was over, more than 3,000 people in Belgium, in the Flemish part, the Dutch part of Belgium, came already to see me, and I knew I was on the right track. I was teaching about enlightenment, about the law of attraction, about meditation, about feng shui. And this was unheard of in that time, that a young woman of 31 would already share this information. But after a year speaking to all these amazing people, I already knew it was too small. If I wanted to reach more than 500 million people, I had to get out of Belgium. But this is before internet, before online marketing. So how do I get to a bigger audience? Well, by visualizing every time I spoke, that I was not just speaking for the people that were there in the room, but I was speaking for more than 500 million people worldwide. And then at a certain moment, I really got very clear I had to go to America. So I went on a trip to California, and there I set up again a beautiful conference room. It was for the first time in Mount Shasta in California. And I was there in the room, and there were windows towards the street, and again, empty chairs. Nobody reacted to my flyers. And that didn't hold me back. I have done this already. It works. So I was teaching for more than 500 million people. And so it would have been quite an odd visual. People pass by and see this woman talking to empty chairs. So people became very curious and started walking in. And before my speech was over, 10 people had showed up. And they were like, wow, you have so much faith, you have so much courage. You come all the way from Belgium to teach here to an empty room, and you attracted us in. I said, yes, because I'm convinced that I'm speaking for millions of people. And so what happened was that these people started asking more people in. I was doing a next conference the next day, and the room was filled. And from there, people were asking me all over California to come and speak to them. After a few years, going back and forth between Belgium and America, one morning I woke up with a very clear voice, the voice of my master in my head, saying, Marie, you have to move. In 3 weeks, you have to be here. So I called my husband and I said, sweetheart, start packing. We're moving to America. He said, when? I said, in 3 weeks. Now, we just had bought a beautiful space. So, you know, my family was there. I had my business there. But I said, no, it's time to move. Now, he always wanted to live in America. So he said, of course, let's go. So I came to America with literally 7 suitcases, my husband, my youngest son, my dog, and about $2,000 on my name. I came there and thought like, well, I come for 3 months. We'll see what happens. So I have 3 months to attract all the people I need to. So the first thing was a miracle that happened. I had several students that came to welcome me. And I had rented a place for 3 months. And they had gone through their garage because the house was empty. So I knew that I had to buy everything new, but I only had $2,000 and 7 suitcases. So I had to start from scratch. So when I came into the home, what these students did is they had furnished the whole house. There were sofas, there were beds, there were towels. My fridge was filled with food. I had a whole office set up, a fax, a printer, a computer. They had gone through all their things and everything was filled. So my whole home was furnished and I could start right away in America. So it was my first miracle that happened because I had visualized that I would come to a home in America. I would find easy and effortless all the furniture, that everything would be in place. And it was there the moment I opened the door. Now, I had 3 months to prove myself or I had to return. So the first thing I did is I made a vision board. And I put my vision board in my personal success direction. If you want to know what your personal success direction is, you can go to mariediamond.com, my website, and fill in there your gender, your birthday, and you will receive a free energy report to know what is your success direction. So mine is Southwest. So I put in my office a vision board, and I put on that vision board a little yellow post-it note. I put on that yellow post-it note, I am going to be in a movie seen by millions of people that will transform the world. And I stuck it to my vision board. Now, I was living in San Francisco at that time. I thought like, well, I'm close to Hollywood. This is possible. So I also bought myself a fake Oscar. And I put with, again, a yellow post-it note, a little label on the Oscar, Marie Diamond. I thought like, oh, I need a few years. So I put 2005. When I moved to America, it was 2002. So 3 years. Every day, I would stand in front of my vision board and would read my post-it note. And I would kind of look at Oscar and say, hi, Oscar. You know, I would say, hi, Oscar, I'm here. The first thing that happened, 2 weeks later, I had a workshop. Now, I had to fill this workshop to pay my rent, to have enough money to continue living there. And only half of the people had signed up. But one person had seen me speak the night before and had reached out to all his friends and said, you have to come and see this woman. She's amazing. So as I was starting to teach for half of the room, all these people start trickling in. And this young man said, I have invited everybody, but it will take some of them hours to come. So you will have a full room by the end of your first session. So the last person that showed up in my workshop, I immediately knew she was going to be very important in my life. Her name was Marci Shimoff, and you know her as one of the authors for the Chicken Soup for the Soul for Women. And she also was in the movie The Secret. She just enjoyed so much the workshop that she said, you know, Marie, I want to have you as advisor. I want you to have as a mentor. I want you to feng shui my home. And I want even to have your next workshop in my home in San Francisco. I said, of course. Now, Marci opened the doors for me. And she started sharing my name with other powerful speakers that I personally had never heard about. So that was the first major step that started happening. I did not know that she was going to be the one that was ultimately leading me to The Secret at that point. The second thing that happened was my Oscar started working. So within a month after putting my Oscar there, an Oscar-winning producer called me and said, Marie, my family needs your help. I've heard about you. I still don't know where from, but I went, and he was my first Oscar-winning client. And it was the first time I took a real Oscar in my hand and placed it somewhere else to help him to create more success. I have to tell you, his Oscar is much more heavier than mine. But it was the first time I got into the entertainment industry in Hollywood. So from that moment on, things started just unfolding. And more students came to see me in San Francisco. And then the next thing happened. I became pregnant. And as I was pregnant, I knew it was from a little girl. And when I was about 5 months pregnant, I had this very powerful dream. And in the dream, this little girl came to me and she said, "Mommy, I need to be born in Santa Barbara." Now, at the time, I lived north of San Francisco. And she said, "You need to find a woman that is the wife of Jack Canfield. She has the keys of time and space. And she will lead you to your home." Now, at that point, I had no idea who is Jack Canfield. Now, I knew Marci Shimoff, and she had given me the book, The Chicken Soup for the Soul for Women. It was next to me on my nightstand, and every night I would read a story out of it to just get inspired. Now, of course, on the front cover of that book is the name Jack Canfield, but as I was just very new to America, I was focused on her name, and I did not know the other authors. So I started calling people and said, "Do you know Jack Canfield?" And they said, "Well, he's a famous author and one of the greatest motivational speakers about self-confidence and self-esteem." And then I called Marci and I said, "Marci, do you know Jack Canfield?" She said, "Of course, Marie, he's my co-author. He's one of my best friends." And I said, "Oh, I need to meet his wife." She said, "His wife?" I said, "Yeah, I'm not interested in him. I need to meet his wife because, you know, my daughter, as you know, I'm pregnant from a girl. She told me we need to meet with her because she has the keys of time and space to find my home where she is going to be born." So Marci said, "Okay, I'm going to call back. You know, these are important people. I don't know if they will react." And I said, "Please call." So she called, and I didn't hear back from her. And the wife of Jack Canfield didn't call me. So a month passed on. But every weekend, my husband and I would drive from San Francisco to Santa Barbara to look for houses. We were not waiting. We went into action. Because the law of attraction is not just about visualizing, about setting a goal. It's also about taking action. The word action is in attraction. So, but every home I found, it was just not good feng shui. You know, as a feng shui master, I'm a little bit picky what home I'm actually going to move into. And after a month, I was getting a little bit desperate because, you know, my daughter was due very soon. So I got another dream. And she showed me a woman with long blonde hair. And she said, "Mommy, it's the wife of Jack Canfield. She lost your number. You need to contact her again." And then she showed me a house. And she said, "The house has a view on water. And the house is in yellow beige." And that was the end of the dream. So I called Marci again. I said, "Marci, you have to call the wife of Jack Canfield." I still didn't know her name. And she said, "But Marie, you know, if they didn't call back, it means they don't want to really react. She lost my number. Please, this baby needs to be born in Santa Barbara. It's important for her soul purpose." So Marci called again, and the woman said, "Inga Canfield." Oh, thank God, I lost her number. So she called me and said, "Do you have time to come on Friday for lunch?" I said, "Yeah, I'm off to Santa Barbara anyhow." So I came to have lunch with her. And she said to me, "Marie, I looked around, but nobody that I know rents a place." And I said, "It doesn't matter. I am here at the right place, the right time with you. I am sure my husband that is looking right now for another home will find a home as we speak." She said, "My God, you have so much faith." I said, "I know how it works." So at that moment, my husband calls. As he was driving away from the home of Jack Canfield in Santa Barbara, he drives around and sees a home for rent. He calls the number, and indeed, it was a mile from Jack Canfield. And the real estate person said, "Yeah, the home is for rent. You can visit it at 4 o'clock. So my husband calls it, "We can visit the home. It is so close to where you are right now. I'll pick you up, and at 4 o'clock, we're going to see that home." I said, "Great." At that moment, Jack Canfield walked in. And Jack said, I've heard about you. Marci told me about you. Meanwhile, I had done some feng shui for John Gray and some other motivational speakers. And he said, I would like you to walk through my home and tell me, what you feel. So I walked around and I told him some things I saw, what was going on with his family, with his business. And he said, I really could use you. I said, I know, you need me. And he said, can you come back on Monday? So we agreed on a quote. And so on Monday, I would come back. So I went to visit the home at 4 o'clock. Now, just before I left his home, Jack said, in case you need a referral, this is my cell phone. They can call me. If you need my referral, I will gladly tell you I know you. I said, great. So I went to see the house. The house was beautiful with a view on a lake. So I was like, there's the water. But the house was dark gray on the walls and it was kind of sad. So I said to the real estate person, I really don't like the outside color. He said, don't worry, Marie, we're actually painting the color. I said, what color? He said, well, come around the corner. We already painted it. I said, what is the color? He said, we call it yellow beige. And I'm like, okay, so that's the house. This is where my baby is going to be born. So at that point, I called Marci and said, Marci, what do I do? I have the house. He said, write a check, put a deposit down. I said to her, but Marci, I don't have that money. This is an expensive area. What do I do? She said, write a check anyway. I said, okay, I write a check. So then they asked me, do you know a referral that lives locally? I said, here's the phone number of Jack Canfield. So I was like, I had written out a check that was 5 times as much as was on my bank account. So I knew if the house would go through, I would be in trouble. So, but I had faith. And so on Monday, I go to see Jack and his wife Inga to look at the feng shui for their business, for their family. And at noon, Jack is saying to me, Marie, I'm actually preparing this meeting. It's called the Transformational Leadership Council. He said, I'm organizing a meeting with 100 top speakers and authors. We will bring all transformational leaders and teachers together, and we're going to create like a professional organization. I said, I would love you to be part of that. But I said, Jack, I am nobody here yet. I just started. I just came to live in America. He said, one day you will be as famous as everybody else that's going to be there. I said, and by the way, I need somebody from Europe, and you're the only one I know at this point that is a transformational teacher in Europe, so you better come. I said, okay, I say yes to this. Now, at noon, as I was having lunch, a second thing happened. The real estate person called and said, Marie, you have the house. So we're going to put a check through. And I'm like, oh, there's not enough money. I wrote a check that is not covered. So I said to Jack, I know normally I'll have to send you an invoice. Your company will send you, your money will send me a check. But this is the situation. If I don't have that money, it was exactly the money I was lacking that I had quoted to him. If I don't have that by tonight, this check in my bank account, I have written an uncovered check. So he said gladly. So he wrote a check. After the consultation, I rushed to the bank, put the check in, and I had my first deposit covered. Now, I'm not telling you to all start signing uncovered checks, but I just knew it was going to be fine. So I had then 5-6 days to get the rest of the money, and from that moment on, people started calling me. I had so much consultations happening that on the Saturday after that, I was able to pay the rest of the rent and moved into my house in Santa Barbara. I remember in that area there was also a private beach, and on the Sunday I was sitting on the beach with my husband, highly pregnant, with my youngest son, And all these very wealthy people were sitting on this private beach in Santa Barbara. And I said to my husband, I was smiling, and I said, I am sure I'm the only one living in this area with just $100 on my bank account. But I was there, and from that moment on, things turned around. So one of the things I said to my husband when I moved in, this house has really good feng shui for entertainment, for being on television, for being in front of the camera. And so the first thing that happened was, I was one day in the home, I got a phone call, and it was a phone call from Jerry Hall. And she is known as the ex of Mick Jagger and now the wife of Rupert Murdoch. And she called me, she said, I have this BBC show and I heard about you and I would like you to explain in front of camera, you know, what you're doing. So I came to see her, highly pregnant, and I was doing, you know, a first little, it was first in a show on television, a day after I moved in to that new home. And she opened the doors to successful rock and roll stars and other people in Beverly Hills. So she was my gateway because she was so impressed of what I shared and what I did for her. And then something else happened. I became part of the Transformation Leadership Council. And as I was in the living room of Jack Canfield that I had completely feng shuied and created a lot of success for him and his family, I became part of this group where all the top 100 speakers and motivational teachers and speakers of America came together. And I was sitting way in the back because I was very shy. I was like, what in God's name am I doing here? I'm just a simple girl from Belgium. That's how I thought about myself at that moment. And next to me was a man, and he said, hi, I'm Pete Bissonnette from Learning Strategies. I said, hi, I'm Marci Diamond. He said, what do you do? I said, I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a feng shui master. And he said, oh, my company has been looking for years for a female feng shui master. Can you tell me about what you do? Do you have people I can talk to? I said, oh, you can talk to Jack, you can talk to John, you can talk to Marci, you can talk to this person. So he's like, all these people are your clients? I said, yes, they are. He said, do you have a curriculum? I said, yes, it's called Diamond Feng Shui. So before the year was over, Learning Strategies published my Diamond Feng Shui Home Study course that has reached hundreds of thousands of people, training them into Diamond Feng Shui. So that was the first thing that happened. Then the third time we came together with the TLC, the Transformation Leadership Council, we went to Aspen, Colorado. Now, at that point, I was still consulting a lot of people in Beverly Hills, all over America, in Europe. I was teaching both meditation, enlightenment, feng shui. I was talking about the law of attraction, but you know, I was still not like the top level. I was not still so visible. And then 2 weeks before I went to Aspen, Colorado, I had another dream. Apparently I always dream of blonde women because there was another woman with long blonde hair. And in my dream she said, I am from Australia. Pay attention when you meet me. These were the words that were given to me. So what happened was, I went to this meeting. I was still quite shy. I was still very overwhelmed by all these very famous self-development teachers and authors. I was sitting way in the back, and there was one space left of me that was available. And this woman comes sitting next to me with long blonde hair, and she said, hi, I'm not going to do her accent. I'm Rhonda Byrne from Australia. I'm here to interview people for a movie called The Secret. And I said, there you are. I pay attention. And she's like, what? And I said, yeah, I'm okay for that. I want to be interviewed. And she's like, wow, okay. She said, you're so enthusiastic. I said, I had a dream about you. I must be in this movie. She said, well, a lot of people here, I've been asking them to be interviewed and they don't really want to be. It's a small movie for a television channel in Australia. I said, no, count me in. I'm in. Because remember, on my vision board, it said, I'm going to be in a movie seen by millions of people that will transform the world. So if these millions of people were in Australia, I was good with that. So she interviewed me. That was like the first real interview I did about my work. I had been on camera where they showed me kind of what I was doing with feng shui, but really like, literally like I'm sitting here in front of a camera. That was the first time. So she asked me 3 questions. What's the law of attraction for you? Tell me a story about your clients. And what are the next steps that people can do based on what you bring? So I started sharing with her about how you have 3 parts in the law of attraction. You have what we call the spiritual part of the law of attraction. And that is through visualizing, connecting with meditation, connecting with prayer, how you can really attract what your soul has as a purpose here. So that's what I did since I was 15, having a prayer every morning, visualizing and meditating with my soul, with my heart, how I would reach millions of people. The second part of the law of attraction is your human part. And that's how you think about your life, positively, focused, how you feel about your life, with gratitude, with love, what you do in action, taking action every day towards your goal, towards what you want to accomplish in your life. That is 1/3 of the law of attraction. Now the self-help movement, the self-development world says this is all you need to focus on. Well, it's not completely true. You have your spiritual part, that is 1/3 of the law of attraction results. Your human part, how you think, feel, and do things. There's another third of the law of attraction that in the self-help you are not focused on. It's called your earth luck. That's what I learned from my grandmaster in feng shui, Master Yap Xing Hai, when I was 31. He said feng shui is responsible for changing the subconscious mind, and that's your foundation. And if your home is telling exactly what your goals are in your life, and it's aligned with your goals, then your thoughts, feelings, and actions will align with that, and ultimately your purpose will unfold. I was sharing this with her and she was like, wow, nobody talks about this. Now, everybody had 15 minutes of interview and I was talking for 2 hours. Now, after me was Bob Proctor and he was waiting for this unknown woman that was just talking her heart out about how the environment was really affecting the subconscious mind of people. So she said to me, Marie, you're going to be in this movie. I said, of course I'm going to be in this movie because it's on my vision board. So 6 months later, we saw this beautiful movie called The Secret, again in the next meeting of the TLC. And 24 teachers were chosen. Now, I was probably one of the most unknown people. Now, the people in TLC knew me, but out in the world, you know, my clients knew me, my students knew me, but I was not a top A speaker or author. And so all these people came to me and said, Marie, why are you chosen to be in this movie? I did also the interview and I'm not in the movie. And I said to them, may I ask you, did you put on your vision board to be in a movie seen by millions of people that will transform the world? I said, no. I said, well, it was on my vision board. And I smiled. And so that is how I got into The Secret. I was guided. I did my work, my spiritual work, meditation. I did my human work. I was thinking, feeling, acting in the right way, with confidence, with gratitude, with faith, with courage. And then I also had activated my home, my vision board in the right place. I had always made sure that I used diamond feng shui in such a way that my home, my office, was aligned with my purpose and my goals. So the movie was out, and it was not really going anywhere. You know, the television channel had canceled it. It was not a success. This was just at the beginning of the internet, online marketing. And she moved to America. We became friends. And I said to her, can I come to your apartment and do my magic? Can I do some feng shui? Can I make sure, your DVD is in your success direction? That you sleep the right direction? I asked her, what do you want? And she said, well, I want to be on Oprah. I said, okay. So we got an Oprah magazine. I put it in her relationship direction. And I said, okay, that is what you need to place there. You want to go global? She said, great. Let's get a globe and put it in your success direction. So I said to her, what else do you want? She said, well, I want people to get the DVD, the online version that at that time was already available. And I want them to buy it and share it with people. I said, well, you have to start by yourself. You have to go in action. You're just sitting here meditating and thinking that everything will happen. You've done the spiritual part. You're doing the thinking, the feeling, but you're not doing the action. Plus, you have not the environmental, the earth lock in place. So I said, let's go out and take DVDs. So we went out on the streets and we started giving some DVDs. I got some DVDs. I gave them to some of my celebrity clients. She sent DVDs to other teachers and asked them, please share it with your students. And that was the movement, the secret wave that happened. It was generosity. It was giving without conditionally asking back. And so still till today, when I ask people, have you seen the movie? Have you read the book, The Secret? I said to them, what did you do? Well, we bought one and then we shared it with people. We bought more copies. Or the copy I had, I started sharing with the family. I said, that's what we did at the beginning. We started sharing. Now, then I said to her, is there anything else you want me to do? She said, I feel I need to have a book out. I said, okay, I'll take care of that. She said, you? She said, you didn't even publish a book yourself. I said, I know, but I just know I will attract a publisher for you. So, within a few months, I got a call from Beyond Words Publishing. It was a company, and they were at the edge of bankruptcy. They were ready for Chapter 11. And somebody had told them, with your last money, please contact Marie and let her do her work. Things will shift. So I came into their offices, changed their setting, changed all the things I could do, activated. And I said, you will see, things will shift around within 10 days. I did also their home of the publishers. And I said, before I leave, I have something to give to you. This is a DVD. I think you should watch it and make a book out of it. Because this book will make you millions. So they watched it. Within a few days, they contacted Rhonda. And within a few months, the book The Secret came out. Another thing that happened, Rhonda attracted a PR company. I did the feng shui of the PR company. They got her into Oprah. Now, so many people in the movie The Secret and around the movie The Secret, the team, the publisher, the PR, the producer herself, they were all working with my feng shui. I was all helping and advising them. This is why people call me the secret behind the secret. Now the movie The Secret and the best-selling book The Secret has reached more than 500 million people, directly or indirectly. Now I can say, check, my goal has been reached. This was Marie Diamond. If you want to know more about my work, go to mariediamond.com, get your free energy report, making sure you know where your personal success direction is, place there your vision board, activate it, and make sure that you create in your home your 33.3% of earth luck. so that you will have better relationships, more inner wisdom, better health, and great success and money flow. Have a wonderful life.